Good afternoon. On behalf of the entire Cuyahoga Community College family, I welcome you to the 45th annual celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his life and legacy. We continue this tradition even during the pandemic in a virtual format and look forward to celebrating with you again in person. We have a wonderful program planned for you today. In his writing and speeches, Dr. King often mentioned the absolute necessity of learning and specifically the need for higher education. He knew that an educated society is an enlightened society, one that will not tolerate any form of prejudice or discrimination. In summing up his position, Dr. King said, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." Because of our good work to promote his ideals to educational excellence, we established the Stand for Racial Justice Alliance, designed to promote equality in the college and beyond by recognizing and eliminating the effects of systemic bias. This commitment, combined with aggressive efforts to improve student success, have resulted in national recognitions, including a 2023 designation as an Aspen Community College Excellence Program Top 150 institution for the second consecutive time. Tri-C is the only institution in the state to have been honored this round for its promising levels of student success overall, with particular emphasis on equitable outcomes for Black and Hispanic students and those from lower income backgrounds. And in recognition of the commitment to students, the college, and community, Tri-C has earned an honor roll designation as a great college to work for by Modern Think, LLC. Also in the spirit of Dr. King, Tri-C has been honored with the Higher Education Excellence in Diversity Award for the 9th consecutive year. This national recognition is for colleges and universities that demonstrate an overwhelming commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Congratulations to my colleagues on these noteworthy attainments. Over 30 years ago, the Cuyahoga Community College Foundation created the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Scholarship Fund. This fund has grown over the years thanks to the Cleveland Teachers Union and other generous donors. Today, we would like to congratulate Tri-C students who have earned the scholarship for 2021 through 2022. These students are all graduates of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District who are working to improve their lives and ensure a better future through their studies. They are outstanding scholars who are also involved in community service work that showcases their unique character. We offer our congratulations to these scholarship winners. Brianna Cruz is a John Hay High School graduate. She lives in Cleveland and is a construction engineering technology student at the West Shore campus. Shantae Edwards is a human resources business management student at the West Shore campus who graduated from the Cleveland School of the Arts. She lives in Warrensville Heights. Monica Harris is a Glenville High School graduate who lives in Cleveland. She is a Metropolitan Campus nursing student. Shelton Henry lives in Cleveland, graduated from John Hay High School, and is working toward an Associates of Arts degree at the Metropolitan Campus. Michael Heron lives in Cleveland and graduated from Ginn Academy. He is studying IT, cybersecurity, at the Metropolitan Campus. Tia Hicks is a Garfield Heights resident who graduated from Martin Luther King High School and is working toward an Associate of Arts degree at the Eastern Campus. Ayanna Malone graduated from the Cleveland School of Science and Medicine. She lives in Cleveland and is a Metropolitan Campus nursing student. Angelimar Quinones lives in Cleveland, graduated from Max Hayes High School, and is studying criminal justice at the Metropolitan Campus. Julia Rojas lives in Rocky River. She graduated from John Marshall High School and is studying accounting at the West Shore Campus. Sarah Shipsahai is a John Marshall High School graduate who lives in Cleveland and is working toward her Associate of Arts degree at the West Shore Campus. Oscar Tamalire lives in Lakewood. He graduated from Lincoln West High School and is working towards an Associate of Science degree at the Western Campus. And finally, Delilah Tolles, an East Technical High School graduate who lives in Cleveland. She is studying human services at the Metropolitan Campus. We wish all of these talented students the very best. In addition to their scholarship, each student will receive a special gift from the college. And now we would like to introduce to you 3 students who won our Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. essay contest. The theme of the contest was this quote by Dr. King: "The time is always right to do what is right." Our first student is Sydney Hugert. Sydney is a Mandel Scholars Academy student and a journalism major who plans to work with the Tri-C Student newspaper. After graduating, Sydney plans to earn a bachelor's degree in English or journalism, ultimately becoming an investigative journalist dealing with social and political issues in American society.
In 1963's A Letter from Birmingham Jail, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. coined the term the white moderate. Dr. King described these people as more devoted to order than to justice, preferring an absence of tension over the presence of justice. The modern-day translation of this term could easily be called the political fence-sitter, someone who, in the midst of social turmoil, bravely asks, "Why can't we just talk?" when the discussion was already swept into a drawer and labeled, "Look into at the proper time," only to be left to the dust. But what is the proper time? Who determines such an arbitrary concept, such as the proper time, for a discussion surrounding an oppressed peoples? Is it the oppressor, whose stake in the matter amounted to a benefit from the pushing off of the discussion? Or is it the oppressed peoples, whose stake is about freedom, equality, and a feeling of safety in their own communities? If one were to ask Dr. King this very question, they would receive a specific and pointed response. The time is always right to do what is right. He speaks to a truth that every activist knows, that despite the pushback one may face in the fight for change, that it is imperative to remember that it is never the improper time to stand up for what matters. This philosophy is perhaps the most socially relevant piece of contemporary thought that deserves to be on the forefront of as many minds as possible in America. Historically, doing what is right is not particularly America's forte, both federally and through the individual citizen. However, it has been proven time and time again that with enough voices behind a cause, change can and will happen. That is why I intend to add my voice to the many activists already speaking out through my future work. Social justice for trans people, gay people, people of color, women, and for workers are topics that have always found their way into my thoughts. And upon reflection of Dr. King's words, I will be incorporating those fights into my life on a deeper level. This list is not exhaustive, especially when considering the entire message Dr. King intended to get across. Doing what is right in Dr. King's time meant supporting the civil rights movement as a stepping stone to equality. However, Dr. King knew he was not only speaking to the attendees at Oberlin College in 1964, he was also speaking to us and to the future. Doing what is right is a phrase that fluctuates as societal change happens. Questions that we as a society have yet to pose will exist in the future. just as the questions we ask today had not yet been introduced in Dr. King's time. One of the most fundamental structures in the fight for social justice today is the media. As an aspiring journalist, I will make it my responsibility to promote public discussion of topics and questions that may make society uncomfortable. I will engage in dialogue with people who are directly affected by these topics. And to you, my audience, I encourage you to take a deeper involvement in what you believe is right. Give those who do not have a voice a platform to speak, and listen to them. Join those very voices in fighting for what is right. Do not stand down when it becomes hard. Push back even harder. It is never the improper time to do what is right.
Thank you, Sydney. And now we would like to introduce to you Austin Keller, a Mandel Scholar. Austin has always dreamed of teaching social studies. He strives to help others whenever possible. He has enjoyed success working in volunteer positions with a variety of nonprofits and even worked in the Ohio Attorney General's office. Dr. King inspires him to remember there is no limit to service you can do for your community. We are pleased to introduce Austin Keller.
On October 22nd, 1964, 2,500 students and faculty crowded into Finney Chapel at Oberlin University and listened as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. proclaimed to the world, "The time is always right to do what is right." The words immediately echoed off the halls, into our hearts, and into our history books for generations to come, with the goal of inspiring action and to initiate change for what is right. But what does it mean to do what is right? The easiest way to define this is simply to do what benefits society most. For example, leading a social change or humanitarian effort within your community would be a right thing to do. Quite simply, there is no set time to enact such change. In the wake of such tragedies like George Floyd, we see an instant call for reform and change within our society. However, it is important to understand that we should not wait until a tragedy happens to enact said change. For example, in my role as the vice president of a nonprofit organization in high school, Educators Rising, I had the honor of becoming the director of community service and was soon made aware of the humanitarian crisis unfolding within our foster care system in the state of Ohio. Thinking of Martin Luther King's quote, it became clear that we should not wait for a tragedy to occur to act. So my team and I got to work. We collected thousands of hygienic products around the state. By promoting in schools and on social media, we received overwhelming donations from communities, schools, other nonprofits, and individual students, all to be donated to those foster children. The impact it had on the children was simply immeasurable, but it was rewarding for us to see them benefit from it. While it is not just the simple collection of donations, we need to address larger systemic issues. Sadly, our inner city socioeconomic status continues to decline for many of its residents, in part due to poor leadership and other systematic unresolved issues. Our quality of education continues to decline in public schools, and the health and well-being of minorities also continues to decline. It is important for each of us to understand that it is never too late to act, that the time for change is now. Our first step is to become active in our democratic process and utilize our right to vote and elect leaders whom we think will guide us through the current and upcoming crises. With that, I call upon you to listen to Dr. King's words and use the power of our young minds to enact change within our communities. And you might be thinking, well, how? The solutions may be rather simple. You could start a nonprofit, volunteer for various community service projects, register to vote, lead voter registration drives, or by even running for elected office yourself. Never forget that you can also write to your congressmen or women, senators, and your respective state and local representatives and call upon them to enact change. The proper tools to enact change in our communities are within each of us. We cannot afford to keep placing Band-Aids over the wounds that remain and fester within our society. I challenge you to engage in one thing that benefits your community this month. Like this weekend, I'll be putting on a fundraiser to benefit the families of the United Service Organization. You could always do something similar. As we set out together to make a difference in our communities, remember and internalize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s powerful words. The time is always right to do what is right.
Thank you, Austin. Our final speaker is Tina Renee Conwell, a Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society student who is currently attending Tri-C while working at John Adams High School. Tina Renee is a paralegal major and plans to continue her studies, earning a bachelor's degree and ultimately a law degree, with the goal of becoming a civil rights attorney.
Dr. Martin Luther King's quote, "The time is always right to do what is right," carries a sound that has resonated in a time where equality and justice has borne the fruit of sweetness. There is never a wrong time that we as individuals can fulfill our dreams to make a difference within ourselves, our community, and for those around us. There is never a time that we as individuals cannot bridge the divided pool of our educational, social, and economic endeavors that has tried to stagnate us from achieving our heart's purpose. It is through Dr. Martin Luther King's quote that has allowed me to become a beacon of educational significance to those that I have served throughout my career as an educational assistant. "The time is always right to do what is right" is an anthem of power, hope, and determination that has propelled me to become an active member for the National Action Network and League of Women Voters that envisions a place where equality for women's rights, voter rights, justice, social, and education reform will be equitable for all diversity of peoples. "The time is always right to do what is right" is an ongoing pursuit of change in my life, which has allowed me to forever demonstrate the effectiveness of my determination and tenacity to pursue a career as a paralegal, while receiving an invite to become a member of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. This was my time to do what is right. I earned it. I have demonstrated the capacity to achieve my purpose by preparation, motivation, and dedication. There was a time in my life that I have allowed my age to become a deterrent. Excuses became my daily, monthly, yearly vice. And as the years went by, I noticed that I was getting older than the day before. But time and chance allowed me to notice that the time is always right to do what is right, to pursue my goals and aspirations. We must understand that time will always be a factor that will allow us to make a change and to move forward by doing what is right in the recesses of our very existence. Dr. Martin Luther King's quote is a bridge factor within my life. It denotes a vision of encompassing change, tearing down collapsed bridges that had invaded my hopes and dreams for change. As Dr. Martin Luther King had embraced and echoed these champion words, I, we, us, can be duplicators that can extract from his vision. We are the birthers of this hope for our lives, our families, and our communities. You and I must know that the time is always right to do what is right, is and will forever be our eternal factor for change.
Thank you, Tina Renee. And now we would like to introduce the director of the Tri-C Creative Arts Prep Program, Emanuela Friscioni.
Good afternoon. My name is Emanuela Friscioni, and I have the pleasure to serve as director of the Creative Arts Academy, Tri-C's arts program for students aged 3 to 18. We had high hopes for the year that just ended. We hoped for a new beginning with a regained sense of normalcy, but we also feared. We feared the possibility of new lockdowns, of new restrictions, and more unrest. As we are navigating these uncertain times, the words of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. resonate in my mind. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So, where do we stand? We pose this question to all our students, faculty, and staff. As we were preparing for the performance that you will see shortly, we asked the students to express themselves in their own creative ways. Led by our stellar faculty, our young performers embarked upon intricate dance choreographies. They learned traditional and motivational songs, reminding us the power of sharing emotions through music. Our orchestra program and contemporary youth orchestra students performed side-by-side traditional African American spiritual, as well as a newly written composition. A former student of our orchestra program, Damian Goggin, composed for the occasion a piece for orchestra and solo guitar titled Resilience. The piece expresses the sense of inquietude pervading our times, but also the hope for a better future. This performance you're about to hear is a world premiere. Our jazz students explore different styles of jazz while improvising new songs as well as performing jazz standards. Lastly, to conclude today's performance, the orchestra program students returned to the stage to perform with me at the piano a piece written by Ernest Bloch, a composer who lived in Cleveland at the beginning of the 20th century. There is no doubt in my mind where our talented young students stand, but please see for yourselves. It is with great pride that I present to you the Creative Arts Academy MLK 2022 performance. Enjoy!
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind, and I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around A sound of hope, a sound of peace, a sound that celebrates and speaks what we believe, a sound of love, a sound so strong. It's amazing what is given when we share a song. This is why we sing, why we lift our voice, why we stand as one in harmony.
We are exceedingly proud of all of the amazing talent among the students here at Cuyahoga Community College. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. King in the future in person. In the meantime, please stay safe,